to admit, never imagined this would be the path to the end of the solar system. Otford really is a special place. I'd hate for things to end this way. What makes a place special? What makes it Instagram worthy, or YouTube worthy in this case? Is it the history? Well, that definitely makes it interesting in my eyes, but coming from a country with a very, very tiny history, human history, compared to the rest of the world, that's never going to be the final answer for me. So is it about important events or spectacular people or the fancy restaurants? Or is it more about natural beauty and a place of serenity? As a travel blogger, I'm challenging myself to be somewhere different every week. So I'm constantly looking for special places that will make special moments in my vlogs. Oh dear, I hear you say, how strenuous and stressful that must be for you. Hi, I'm Justine, the nerdy half of the Breakaway Bravehearts. And today I'm in Otford, a tiny, tiny little village in England, Kent. And I have to say, this place is special. Even though there are no notable celebrities, this isn't the place of battleground. I mean, we can't all have grand palaces. On the face of it, Otford looks like any other regular little English town. A few charming cottages, some quaint little shops. In fact, as I got out of the train and asked the man at the train station to point me in the direction of town, he very politely and friendly smiled at me and said, "It's not a town, it's a village." And I see what he means. Yes, that's Otford, O-T. If you made a typo and you're looking for Oxford, you're in the wrong place. But stay with us, you'll still love it here. Stick with me and I'll tell you what really makes a place special. And for Otford, it's a quirky community vibe that's led to some funky little features. It claims to be the centre of the universe. And Otford has found a really creative way of making sure they technically are.
Otford's first claim to fame is to have one of the largest scale models of the solar system in the world. That definitely sounded like something special.
So when I first read about the largest sculpture of the solar system, I was so excited to see giant planets dotted around the town. But perhaps I should put it into perspective for you. This is the sun. I'm kneeling, by the way. It's about, and I'm short. Don't get me wrong, it's still very impressive. These sculptures are all around the village and they're completely in scale. So all the planets are in the right distance from each other, and it takes you about an hour 3/4 to walk around the solar system. The scale of the model is a ratio of 1 to 5 billion. I'm here at the sun, and incidentally the sun is glinting off the sun right now, and around it there is a ring pointing to all the other planets.
At this scale, the sun's first orbiting planets are close enough to be just within visual distance.
I'm standing at the sun and you can just see Earth behind me there. It is in fact the only fully walkable scale model of the solar system on this planet. As the sign says, they haven't confirmed that there might be others on other planets.
The reason why they can claim this model to be the largest is because it actually crosses the globe. There are models representing our closest stars in LA, Sydney, the Falkland Islands, and even my own birth city of Christchurch, New Zealand. I'll have to pop in and see flare star Ross 154 next time I'm home. But today I'm just going to planet hop.
Let me see if my camera tracking will work out in space.
At this scale, if I was walking at the pace of an average person, I'd be walking about 21.5 times faster than the speed of light.
Mercury?
I'm outpacing photons. I'm basically a superhero.
I forgot I'm supposed to be floating.
Actually, I might need to slow down. I wouldn't want to break causality and mess up the space-time continuum.
Venus.
Local man D.P. Thomas conceived the initial idea and design and then worked with his supporters and the local parish council on surveying, calculations, research and gaining grants and funding.
And now I'm back on Earth.
The dome that represents the sun is 303 millimeters in diameter, so each of the other planets are then engraved in scale on a flat disc.
This one actually doesn't have a planet on it because Earth is so small. All it gets is a little tiny etching dot in the middle.
The sheer effort and thought gone into the model is incredibly impressive.
Whew. Back to the sun again. Travelling through space is a little bit exhausting. Each of the planets are in the representative positions that they were on the night of the 1st of January 2000. This is a millennium project that was put in place by the local parish. They built the model as an education project with the parish council working in combination with the local primary schools. It not only brings up philosophical questions about where we are in the scope of things in this large universe, but also it brings scientific facts, and lots of families who are down here enjoying the plaques and reading the information. It's a fabulous reminder of just how small we are, and yet how big our imaginations can be. That this community of only 4,000 worked together to create something so special. It really is testament to Otford Village, the community atmosphere, and their sense of wonder and learning. And definitely quirky. So now I'm at Jupiter, which unfortunately does seem to have a bit of a bird problem, but the engraving here is definitely much bigger than the one of the Earth. And we can still see the sun. It's back there through those poles. Okay, I'm going to head to the end of the solar system. Pluto's still counted on this ring, so honorary planet today. I'm heading towards Pluto. Apparently it's over there behind Mercury, but it's a bit of a walk. The trip to Pluto is a bit of a trek, so on the way I want to thank all our viewers and subscribers. Thank you so much for helping me keep the dream alive. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do join our community. We'd love to have you on board. And leave me a comment letting me know who you are, where you're from, and what makes your place special.
Also on our way across the solar system, we're going to check out more of Otford's quirky features because they reveal a little bit more about what makes this community so special. If we were walking across this field in May 1520, we would have seen Henry VIII and Catherine of Aragon riding by with their entourage of 3,000 courtiers.
This, believe it or not, was once one of the grandest palaces in England. 500 years ago, Otford nearly was the centre of everything. Nearly. But there's been special stuff happening here since long before that. Originally, this was the site of a Roman villa back in the early ADs. Later on, King Canute presented the estate to the Archbishop of Wilfrid. During the Battle of Hastings, it's rumoured that William the Conqueror stayed here. Otford, or Ottenford, was mentioned in the Domesday Book in 1086, and then a century later, Archbishop Thomas Becket lived here too. Edward III spent Christmas here, to avoid the Black Death in London, but their most famous guest was Henry VIII, who stayed here with wife de jour Queen Catherine on their way to France.
Henry didn't so much acquire Otford Palace as confiscate it. During the Reformation, he forced then owner Archbishop Thomas Cranmer to hand it over. This was how many church properties ended up in royal hands. Once it was his, Henry transformed it into a grand Tudor residence fit for a king. The palace was surrounded by beautifully landscaped gardens.
He hosted grand hunting parties in the fields around me and entertained his guests with tournaments and lavish feasts. And it probably wasn't just about pleasure. It's likely that he did some planning here. This was a time of great tension in England because they had broken from Rome. So Henry had strategically placed castles along the coastline, and it was here that he was probably planning how to best use castles like Pendennis, linked above. So for a while there, it looked like Otford was the place to be. But the dream faded. Henry was, as we all know, a fickle man, and his interest in this place soon waned. Over the years, the palace was neglected, the stones were stripped and taken to use in buildings elsewhere. By the 1700s, there was only a few walls and this tower remaining. But that was enough for the town to rally around and make sure that this heritage was protected. Fast forward to the 1970s, and this remarkable little town took matters into their own hands, literally. Well, at least they tried. They tried to reclaim this land from the Crown estate. Their argument, the government simply wasn't taking good enough care of it, and they knew they could. They weren't trying to rebuild the palace, just stop it from crumbling altogether. But bureaucracy is hard to fight. The Crown argued that they had the legal right and responsibility and resources to look after it. If they started handing out land willy-nilly to locals, that would set a dangerous precedent, fragmenting their control. Well, I guess it is still here, but the windows are boarded up and I can't get inside. There was a QR code about stories of the people that lived around here. That's no longer accessible. And if you didn't know it was here, you'd miss it completely. Thanks to the local historic trust, there are good signs providing heaps of information. But I feel like there could be more done. And if the Crown had just trusted their local community, I'm sure that would have been done in an incredibly respectful way. And the village community is making the most of its spectacular surroundings. I'm not going to record them because they're kids, but in the fields behind me there's a school group playing hide and seek. Awesome way to use the resources of the community. So we have to chalk that one up for the big guys, but I could see how the town felt confident taking them on, because actually this wasn't their first battle against bureaucracy. You can probably hear the hum of traffic behind me. That's because I'm standing in front of a roundabout. Normally I would try to film away from the traffic, but this roundabout is kind of special. With all the traffic going by, it's hard to imagine what this would have looked like back in Elizabethan days. You would have been standing behind a big wall with greens all around you, women and children coming to fill up their water in the pond. The pond was actually the only clean water supply for the whole village for centuries. It wasn't until the 1920s that houses got main water supply, which meant their local ponds soon fell out of favour, and by 1926 it was so cluttered with litter, iron railings had been erected around it. Eventually it was transferred to the ownership of the parish council in 1964, and they took great measures to make sure it stayed protected this time. Its walls were listed as a historical monument in 1975, giving it legal status. But others wanted to move the town into the future, and that meant a road infrastructure. They found a compromise, a brilliant solution. The duck pond is now officially, legally, a roundabout. Its walls were protected as a historical monument in 1975, and apparently if you're able to get closer, you might see the glint of little green stones, the remainder of Henry Tudor's palace. I do kind of wish we could go across and see the ducks, but for now it's just a busy roundabout.
But once you step away from the traffic, you'll see that Otford's commitment to protecting its natural habitat goes far beyond just the ducks.
This is stunning. And if you are into nature, then Otford has you covered there too. There are plenty of walkways, heritage trails and tramping paths. I've popped a link in the description so you can get more info. I really do recommend it as a walk. It's seriously beautiful here. Wear better shoes than me and make sure you've got a decent amount of water. I think there's supposed to be a planet up here somewhere. I have to admit, never imagined this would be the path to the end of the solar system. I'm not going to show you all the planets. I encourage you to do the walk yourself. But we don't want to miss Uranus. Uranus, or Uranus, is smaller than a penny. And now we're on the way to Pluto. You can do the entire walk in 1 hour 43. I've taken my time because there are so many other things to see in Otford. But I might have left it a little bit too late because I have a little fear that by the time I get to Pluto, I'm going to miss my train on the way back. Well, give it a shot. They say in space, no one can hear you scream. I'm still on the road to Pluto. I'm not giving up. I'll catch the later train. I get it, the universe is huge and we're tiny, but we're also beautiful. That said, I'd hate to think this could be our only home. Oh shoot. I'm lost in the cosmos. 2 tracks. I'm not taking the one less known. Now there's 3 pathways. This is Major Tom to ground control. I'm heading down that path. Okay, I'm standing exactly where Google Maps tell me Pluto should be. The sign says Pluto Walkway, and then it stops, and then it's a private property, and the other sign does not mention Pluto. So this is the space. No Pluto. Did they ditch Pluto? Did they rip up Pluto when it was declared an unplanet, a dwarf planet? Imagine having your whole identity defined by people who have never even experienced your world. I mean, this can't be right. I must have done something wrong. I'd hate for things to end this way. And it didn't end that way. Look what I found, thanks to an incredibly helpful and friendly local. I mean, Otford really is a special place. Where else in the world can you stop a local in the pathways and ask them, where's Pluto? And they detour to take you there. Pluto itself is tiny. It's basically a pinprick. I take back everything I said. I'm so happy to find Pluto. I really do feel for her. The sun is nowhere to be seen from here. 984 meters away in that direction. You see, it turns out I was supposed to take one of the smaller paths that fork off to the right, and there was supposed to be a sign there showing me, but looks like it's been removed or overgrown. But like I said, the locals will help you out. So I actually don't think it's the model that makes this place so special. And while the beauty of nature definitely helps, it's still not even that makes this place special. It's the people, the thought, the creativity, the community, the organisation that went into creating this. What makes a place special is the memories you can create there. And so I want to thank you guys for helping me create some memories today. I really did enjoy having you with me as I walked around this quirky little village. I hope you'll come with me next time. I've got no idea where I'll be, but if you want to join me, hit subscribe and don't forget the notifications bell. Hope to see you there. Until then, happy travels everyone.